Get in, nerds. We are playing Burden of Command. This is a pretty new game. I've seen a couple of previews of this on YouTube. This came out, I think, yesterday, maybe day before yesterday. So it's very new. It's available for $20 on Steam, and I definitely recommend you check it out. As a person who has watched only a couple of previews, I was hype as heck to play. By a couple days ago, I mean, like, I think it came out the 9th. So you're going to be seeing this the morning of the 11th. So I'm hype as heck about this. So what is this game? This is a World War II game. It is a squad level, well, it's a platoon level and company level tactics game. Each of your units is going to be a squad or an officer. But the trick here is it's not just a Hexy war game, it is a role-playing game where you are playing a United States Army infantry officer. And you've got a bunch of... So this is your friends here. The other officers that are around. And these are going to be major characters in the game that we're seeing around here. I've only played through the tutorial right now, so I'm going into this effectively blind, but I am going to start with the tutorial because that's the best place to start, because you're going to be learning this game just as I learn it. So without further ado, let's get started. The campaign is called the Cottonbalers. That's the name of, I want to say, the regiment of infantry that we're playing, the nickname. We're part of the United States 7th Infantry Division. So let's get going here. We got 3 difficulty modes. I haven't checked the settings. I should have showed you the settings, but that's okay. We'll do that later. We got story focus. You want to immerse yourself in your narrative and the lives of your men, with less emphasis on tactical challenges. Your Cottonbalers start with an extra 100 XP and 100 trust, a good pick for players who rarely play tactical games. We got balanced. You value equally both tactical play and narrative, intended for players who are familiar with strategy and tactics games, including tactical RPGs. Then over here we got tactician. You want the narrative, you are engaged. While you want the narrative, you are engaged by a strong tactical challenge. After boot camp, your enemies will all have plus 100 XP and trust compared to balanced difficulty. Note that your primary tactical challenge will still not come until you meet the Germans, Winky Face. Intended for more hardcore strategy players or grognards who value mastering a nuanced tactical system. I am a bit of a grog, but it is my first time playing. So we'll start on balanced. These are lovely. I believe these photos are all colorized by volunteers, if I recall correctly. I read that in the options. So let's get started here. I'm going to let this thing go. That first mile. September 24th, 1942, Virginia, United States. This campaign occasionally shows disturbing images of graphic violence intended to convey the true burden of war. If this is not a fit for you, then please consider refunding the game now. This is a World War II game, and we're going to see some dark stuff. This is not a Hearts of Iron 4 game. This is going to be very low down. This is going to be a worm's eye view, as in the words of Rick Atkinson. So let's get started. He quoted it from something.
This is Luke Hughes, lead designer for Burden of Command. And I'm breaking through the fourth wall today, ouch, to thank you. Thank you for taking a risk on something new, a leadership RPG. Now I imagine you're here hoping to test your mettle as a leader, emotionally, morally, tactically, in World War II. For us to give you that experience, it means a risk for you. What's the risk? Well, a new approach obviously requires a learning curve, and we all know learning curves can produce confusion, hell, even frustration, and playtesting has shown that there is a learning curve for Burden. 2 kinds. The easier part, where you learn new mechanics, not tried before, and then the much harder ones, where we break some of your likely pretty ingrained assumptions about how, for example, repeated shooting will kill an enemy unit. We instead do something called the 4Fs, which we'll get into later. The point is, I'm going to be breaking in occasionally here to help you with video demonstrations, along with some design explanations about why we break these conventions. But remember, it's all to give you a credible leadership role-playing experience. And hey, We know these fourth wall break-ins may be jarring at times, but extensive playtesting has shown these videos can really help your journey. So please, keep an open mind, and hey, Cottonbaler, good luck out there.
Nice. Very old school tutorial thing going on. So, we're at Camp Pickett, Virginia, that first mile. I can repeat the video over here. Oh, we got a little citation here. Blackwater Canyon in autumn, image courtesy of Forest Wanderer. Nice. I talked to one of the devs on YouTube, and he recommended me in a comments section of a preview for this, and they recommended me a book called Battle Leadership, which is a book written in 1935 by an officer who served in World War II, who'd served in World War One, about infantry tactics and sort of leadership, where the when where the pedal hits the metal, as it were. Leadership down on the ground. It was a really interesting read. I didn't get through all of it, but that really informed sort of what this game is about and what we're going to be doing here. So, we got two options. We got commence my journey here and tell me a little about the game. This is one kind of format the game takes place in, this kind of visual novel style, but mostly it's going to be also partially on that tactical map. So let's hear a little bit more about the game. Hello and welcome to Burden of Command. You are about to embark on the odyssey of the Cottonbalers of the United States 7th Infantry Regiment. 7th Infantry Regiment amid World War II. I said division earlier, it's the 7th Regiment. We hope you will find this to be an immersive tactical leadership experience. The history behind the fiction has many sources, but first and foremost of these is American Courage, American Carnage by John McManus. His writing and interviews were the inspiration that put this project into motion. A reprinting of the book is set to release in April of 2025. Play the game, read the history, compare. I'm just going to find out a little bit more about other sources. I can't list those here. The list is too long to enter here, but some other sources will be in the credits and others on Bokopedia. Suffice to say, we utilized numerous books, archives, collections, and sites to put this together, and that was just the historical side. There is original music. We've assembled a breadth of photography, including colorized war and period photos. Well-researched art and sound effects will likewise be found during the course of play. I can get into the who put this together. Let's take a look at this. Green Tree Games is a small indie group that put Burden of Command together, which is to say that it was largely Luke Hughes who kept all our ducks from wandering off. He is responsible for much of the coding, media, craft, and focus. John Strong did a great deal of coding. Steve Overton and Hank Stoffers handled the scenarios. Alan Geese and Paul Wong wrote the fiction and coded many of the events. More names. Mariusz Kozik painted the characters and portraits. Sergei Verkin labored upon all the other art, both big and small. Steve Lohr managed legal matters and kept us on the road. There are also many others. Please see the credits for details. All right. That first mile, September 24th, 1942, Camp Pickett, Virginia. Morning dew dribbles down the bright leaves of the forest. Ahead, Platoon Sergeant Bennett leads the way beneath the canopy. That should be the hill, he notes, and gestures towards the rise to the east. Bit of a walk, but we're close. On his back is slung the standard issue American M1 rifle, a near twin to your own. Options here are, you said that 10 miles ago, Sergeant. I should take another compass bearing, and it sounds like he knows where he's going. Yeah, I'll second guess him. We'll see what's going on. I should take another compass bearing. We're on course, Lieutenant, Sergeant Bennett replies as your fingers rest atop the compass case. The map references were pretty clear. It wouldn't be unusual for the trainers to throw you a curve by providing a dubious map. After all, leadership is all about overcoming adversity, but they can't hide landmarks or move buildings. Sergeant Bennett has been in the Army since before the big draft in 40. He knows his way around. Alright, so now we get to pick an option here. Oh, we got a little alt task. That task had started with the 16 million men who registered for the draft in the fall of 1940, and it would expand regular Army and National Guard divisions, Atkinson and Kindle Location 340. Okay, so this is a source. This is a source. That's what this is, a citation. So we're going to see more of these, and we're going to get citations for the images too. I'm probably not going to get into too much of those. I just noticed this, so I figured I would go into it. But this is very cool. This is going to give us a very strong visual to where all the stuff we're seeing here comes from. And again, these are colorized, my understanding is mostly by volunteers. So, we're picking our origin. And I've been with the Army for a while too. Background set to regular Army, Prestige +1. Prestige is how much influence you have with your superiors after a scenario is over. And I'm a recently commissioned lieutenant. Background set to 90-day Wonder, Trust +10. Trust is how well your men react to your orders within a scenario. 10 Trust is worth approximately 1 Prestige or 1 Loyalty. And I'm a reservist returning to the Army. Loyalty +1, background set to reservist. Loyalty is how much influence you have over the men after a scenario is over. So I can get 1 prestige, 1 loyalty, or 10 trust. I don't know much about what's needed for each of these, or how much of each of these are needed. I'm feeling like so the primary question is who do we want to role play in here, and I'm going to sort of get more into that as we go along. But I'm going to start by being a reservist. I feel like that's interesting. So my character's probably born in the 1900s, maybe too young to serve in World War I, but potentially able to become an officer in World War II. So we'll be a reservist. Background set to reservist, loyalty +1. You know your former trade, though it did take a few months to blow the rust off and fight off the civilian pounds. It's good that you had time to do that, because the Germans and Japanese seem determined to light the world on fire. The United States has yet to send many divisions overseas, but you know it is only a matter of time. Although Arcadia Conference had confirmed Germany as the principal foe, as both wished, there was no plan to ensure that forces would be deployed against Germany other than the movement of 3 divisions to Northern Ireland and a vague agreement to land in North Africa. Interesting. Vincent O'Hara, Torch, pages 35 to 36. All right, time to move.
So here I am in boot camp somewhere in Virginia, 1942, just like you will be soon. I'm going to start with our first concept that will be familiar and unfamiliar, your first learning curve aspect. So, like games like XCOM and frankly many tactical games these days, we use action points. We call them orders, and they have the green dots. So this leader has 4 action points. And no surprise, when he say moves, he spends an action point, which you can see happening there.
The United States Army will go to war in earnest soon. As an officer, your duty will be to lead the men of your platoon. You just have to find them first. Mouse over the book icons for history and image notes. Alright, we already figured that out. Alright. Move the camera. Left click to select the leader. Right click to move the leader. The WASD keys will move the camera. Alright, here we go. We're zoomed maximally in. This is not a very tall battlefield. That's okay. Alright. Use the scroll wheel to zoom in or out. Not terribly useful right now, but it will be eventually. Alright. Left click to select this leader. Right click to move here. Closer now. Hills and mountains are always further than they seem. The gray circle that you saw float up indicated the expenditure of an order. Burden of command runs on orders. Every unit has some, and you can't do anything but get shot at without one. Orders are spent to move a unit. You can usually move a unit multiple times. This leader just expended an order. That's this indicator here. So as you can see in the HUD, Lieutenant Unnamed. Do I have the ability to rename him? Doesn't look like it. We got our 4 dots, and one of those was just spent, so this went from green to gray. Right click to move the leader. Leader moving alone is quite fast and vulnerable. We've also got a platoon down here. Let's take a look at what they've got going on. Engineers. Ah, nice. Very good. Alright, let's get our leader moving. It's a good view. Good enough to see a few stragglers from your first platoon. Looks like the kitchen patrol is still on their way to the obstacle course, Sergeant Bennett notes. And if we let them dog things, they'll never get there before dinner. Alright, so we have a few options here. I'll order them to move up. No change to verbosity. Verbosity is one of 3 character traits. It reflects how much a leader likes to talk. Verbosity does not impact the tactical battlefield, but it may add personalization to conversations. Yell down at those men, +1 verbosity, or wave them forward, -1 verbosity. The descriptions of verbosity are the same for each of these. So do I want to be verbose? Do I like talking up a storm? Do I like to hear the sound of my own voice? I think probably yes. I think definitely that's what I want. That's what I'm out here doing. Yell.
This is a leadership RPG. We're always going to be focused on bringing out leadership aspects. In the Army, leaders are in charge of platoons, which is a group of squads or companies. And so there's a command structure, and we do that too. This is a squad here, part of my rifle platoon. For it to do something, I've got to order it. Or, if you want to make it simpler, activate it. So, did you see an order came up on me? Not just a squad. The squad paid its action point, but I'm just going to say order from now on. But I paid an order because effectively I ordered the squad.
You yell down in a commanding tone. Conditioned by training, they obey. A squad must be activated to utilize their own orders. A leader will spend an order to activate a squad when that squad initially shoots, moves, etc. Once the squad has been activated, they have enough direction that they can then expend 2 or even 3 orders without requiring a further leader order for the rest of the round. Alright, so left click the squad to select. So this is going to cost our leader 1 order. Order the squad to activate the leader for the turn. And it's not a separate click here, so I'm just selecting this unit. Orders are more of move the squad here. Squads move slower than leaders. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And it's going to cost 1 order point from our squad and 1 from our leader. There we go. Call for double time, Lieutenant. Sergeant Bennett asks.
This squad has been activated. The leader no longer needs to pay an order to activate it. So let's move it, and you'll see no action from the leader. He didn't spend another order.
Order the squad to move again. This time it won't cost the leader an order because the squad was already activated this turn. Alright, so we got them selected. Let's go ahead and click up here.
So I'm going to come down there, join my squad, lead, grab them both, and go somewhere. Now this time, they'll both pay an order. But be careful, it's not an activation order. They're both moving. You don't get a free ride. You got to pay for the move too. So, there you go. We're similar to games you're used to. Action points. But in this case, they're really orders, and they involve things like squad activation.
Here they are, Sergeant Bennett notes as Sergeant Layton, no relation, and his kitchen patrol reach the summit. Layton, can you see the obstacle course from here? Breathless, Sergeant Layton nods in the affirmative. His fellow spud peelers are all but ready to drop. Clearly they can't go very far with us, if only they were in better shape. They're not part of the coming exercise. They're not part of the coming exercise. From this height, you can also see a little stream whose serpentine channel marks the bounds of your own training area. The stream isn't far, which is a good thing. The stream, like other terrain, costs more movement points to cross than flat open ground. You won't always be able to get somewhere in a single order, especially with a squad in tow. One last push should put your boots beside the stream. Spent, perhaps, but in position nonetheless. However, first you'll have to detach from Layton's squad. The first left click of a hex selects both units in it. A second left click of either a leader portrait or the squad below will select only that unit. Do not follow Luke's example in the video, and instead, rebel and left click the leader portrait repeatedly until only the leader is highlighted. You will see the selected portrait or unit be encircled by a pulsing ring. When you move the leader out, they will separate from the squad. So this is just the particulars of selection. If anyone's played Unity of Command, you're going to recognize this situation. I'm just going to move here so that the tutorial text is visible. So first we left click, that selects both, and now we left click just the leader, and that selects only him. So we'll head out over here. And now we have a confirm. We can confirm just lieutenant unnamed, add engineers, or cancel. So we'll just move the lieutenant.
Honestly, it would have been simplest to design the game as 1 unit per hex, like many games do. But frankly, it just felt wrong not to have leaders in with their men leading them. So we committed to simple stacking. 1 leader, 1 squad per hex. So then how do you manage selection? It's simple. Click any unit in the hex, both select, because you probably want to move both of them normally. But maybe you just want to move the leader this time. Click again. And here I am. So I'll do the same thing again. I'll click the squad, and I go back and forth between just the squad and both.
Down by the stream. Let's take a breather, Sergeant Bennett suggests, but we're almost there. At this point, your leader should be out of orders. 3 to move your leader, 1 to activate the KP squad. The KP squad itself moved twice the normal amount for a green rifle squad. Orders refresh at the start of a new game turn. Out of orders means we can't do anything. What if I didn't move that squad? Veteran squads have more orders? Veteran squads or special combat units might have 3 orders instead of 2. Veteran officers might have 5 orders instead of 4. But let's leave that for later. Everything important in Burden of Command costs an order. Want to move a leader? An order. Want to move a squad? The leader pays an order to activate the squad. Then the squad expends its own orders to take action. Shooting or assaulting? We'll get to those, but yep, that's an order. Since there are currently no enemy units around, just pass around until a new game turn begins. Let's move to the east here. Alright, end the round and a new turn begins. The forest thins. At last you spy a hint of civilization, a little wooden bridge that crosses a gully and a low wooden wall beyond it. The clearing should be just up ahead, Lieutenant, Bennett calls back to you. A movement order can span a single hex or 4, but the order cost remains the same. A movement order can span a single hex or 4, but the order cost remains the same. In other words, no matter how far you go, it's still always going to cost 1 order. Move your leader here. And the KP are still... The KP are gone. They're over. They're done with. Oh, whoops. The assembly point is a simple one, marked by a low retaining wall with white. At the sight of it, Sergeant Bennett flashes you a grin and stashes the map. There's a figure waiting in the lee of that wall, a fellow officer with the silver bars of a captain upon his collar and a dreaded clipboard in hand. You're nearly late, Lieutenant, the field umpire notes as he regards you. The pencil in his grip has doomed plenty of officers to obscurity with a swift judgment. Options are no excuse, sir, salute, and nod to him. Doesn't say what this is going to cause. I'm just going to salute. Sergeant Bennett gives a firm warning cough, but it comes too late. The field umpire shakes his head slightly. When out in the field, such gestures are apt to attract snipers. Alright, interesting. Oh, here we go. Thank you for the clarification, sir. Sarcasm +1. Sarcasm notes how sharp-tongued a character is. Sarcasm does not have any impact on a tactical scenario. Being sarcastic may provide personalization during the interactive fiction. Remain silent as is proper, no change to sarcasm. He certainly is setting the tone here. Sarcasm -1. Let me see. I've already chosen to be verbose. Let's also be sarcastic. Thank you for the clarification, sir. Today you will undertake a leadership exercise consisting of no less than 3 separate field problems. The field umpire says, you and your men will be assessed both on outcomes, including both objectives achieved and casualties sustained. You will take command of your rifle squad and we will proceed. Any questions? Is this live fire? That's an important question. No, the field umpire says. There will be the occasional live round fired safely for effect, but otherwise no unit is in possession of live rounds. Budget constraints, Sergeant Bennett remarks softly by your side. What's the mission for this field problem? We'll get to that shortly, the field umpire says. They like their surprises, Sergeant Bennett remarks softly to you. I don't feel like I need to ask where the squad is. We already saw them on the map. That's all my questions. Mentally review what to do. We just need to find the squad, Sergeant Bennett says. Doubt we'll need more than a few waypoints on the map to figure out where they're at. Lead the way. The squad is not far away. That's just the fewest movement points, but it doesn't utilize terrain. Ah, we got cover indicators here. I bet that's what we're talking about here. But this is an exercise. Control right click to establish waypoints and stick to covering terrain when possible. That in mind, you lead the way. The mission finished the exercise before turn 4. The men don't get it. I see. Here we go. So we've got 2 objectives. One from the mission and one for the men. The mission, finish the exercise before turn 4. The men don't get anyone quote-unquote killed. Easy enough. Alright. Move your leader to this squad by expending a single order. Alright, so let's use that mechanic. I suspect, since the guy already mentioned snipers, that just running across this field is going to be the wrong call. So it's control right click to set a waypoint. This is going to tell us what order we're going to go in. I'm going to right click without hitting control over here and see if I can just do that or if it overrides the waypoints if I do that. Hey, it worked. Wonderful. Well done, Lieutenant. The umpire notes you avoided a sniper call. All right, good. Very good. Most officers have proven blind to that. I've played a lot of XCOM, and I've played a lot of Unity of Command, which also uses rough terrain for defense bonuses, so I'm very conveniently, I'm very well informed of that. Our squad looks beat, Sergeant Bennett says. It's true. By all appearance, they can't possibly take another step. Some might say their morale is low. Right now, it's dog-dick low, like they've been suppressed by enemy fire. But they don't have to stay that way now, do they, Lieutenant? What would you suggest, Sergeant? Directness -1. Directness is one of the 3 character traits. It reflects the approach of a leader to problems, subtle or otherwise. Directness does not impact the tactical battlefield, but it may add personalization to conversations. I'm not sure if I want to do max out directness or not. I'd give them a speech. Verbosity is one of the 3 character traits. They'll obey my commands. Directness +1. Consider kicking them into shape. Verbosity -1. I'm going to add another point to verbosity. I feel like that's where I'm at right now. Okay, here we go. Interesting. A little bit of background here. There are no bullets and maneuvers, and things sometimes get a little dull. But play the game. Don't lie in the shade. Don't pretend you're manning an anti-aircraft gun or a machine gun when you're lying down. Be on your toes. If an aircraft comes over you, track it with your gun and pretend that you're shooting the heck out of it. If a tank or an infantryman approaches you, who is the enemy, do the same thing. Play the game. Patent papers. Alright, I'm going to give him a speech. You could, Lieutenant, Sergeant Bennett says. It might even work if you lead them forward afterward. Either way, I'll kick a little ass in the slackers. Alright, so, morale essential. I'm actually going to read out all this because this is important. So these are tracking good morale, moderate morale, or bad morale. Moderate morale is shaken, bad morale is cowering. With good morale, you got a 50-50 to win firefights. You get full orders, normal movement, and ability to pass, and mostly you'll pass morale checks. With moderate morale, enemies are more likely to win firefights. You get some orders. Movement towards the enemy is reduced, but you can still fall back at full speed, and you fail most morale checks. And then bad morale, cowering. Enemies always win firefights. You only get 1 order. You can't move towards the enemy, and you always fail morale checks. So it's important to keep morale up.
Thank you, Sergeant Bennett. Sergeant Bennett is reminding me I need to teach you about the backbone of your company's performance. It's morale. So here we have a good order squad. It's green, no suppression, has 2 orders, moves about 3 hexes. Tries to move under fire. Pass the morale check to do that, about 70%. And if it fires at an enemy, 50-50. Now notice those initiative wheels, donuts I like to call them. You really want to win initiative, because if you win initiative, you fire first, you suppress the enemy, reduce their morale, then their fire back will be weak.
Life. I like that.
Now let's look by contrast at this shaken company. It's yellow. It's lost about half its morale to suppression. First thing to notice, subtly, is it only moves 2 squares forward, can still retreat, because they're more cautious, because they're shaken. Also, Let's notice one more thing. Only one order. So the morale's actually reduced the total quantity of actions you can give this squad. Pretty bad. And guess, if you fire them, not going to go so well. You're going to lose. And the morale checks, unlikely. Finally, let's look at these poor guys. About 9 points of suppression. They're red. They're basically cowering. They won't even move forward. Though you can still move them back to get rallied, maybe behind a hill or in some cover. I wouldn't bother trying to fire. Not going to work. And you can give up on assault. Now, friend, let's have a little fun here. This is a 3-star unit. Very experienced. What do you notice? It's got 3 orders, not 2. That's a big win. And guess how it's going to do in firefights? Very well. And guess how it's going to do on morale checks? Hey, it doesn't even have to pass a morale check to move under fire. Work hard, Captain. Maybe you'll have units like this eventually. Lead them well.
Alright, rally. Rally will remove suppression. We'll also expend all of the squad's, not the leader's, remaining orders. Time to rally. To rally, a unit must not have expended any orders during the turn. It must still be fresh. Fresh squad, no suppression. The squad has expended an order. It's no longer fresh. The squad has merely lost an order to suppression. It is still fresh. The squad has expended all orders. It is spent. Okay, so you can only rally a unit that hasn't done anything this turn. Rally. Your men want guidance and leadership, and that's why you're here with them. Most leaders must be grouped up with a squad to utilize certain orders. A captain would make an exception to that, but do not worry about this right now, because all you have currently is a single lieutenant. Alright, select the leader, and then rally the squad. This consumes 1 leader order to activate the squad and all squad orders to rally. Left-click selects the order, right-click the squad to enact. Alright, so theoretically we could rally a different squad if there was one. I see, and it shows here in the tooltip this will get all its morale back. The speech did the trick, Sergeant Bennett says. Once we're organized, we can get on with the exercise. The field umpire makes a little note in his clipboard. The men will be ready, but the question is, ready for what? I shouldn't have moved the squad first, because you can't rally if you've moved already. The squad's out of orders. For this turn, it is spent. Next turn, its available orders will refresh. Orders are essential. Without them, a unit cannot move any number of hexes, let alone fight. It's enough that the men are on their feet. If the enemy doesn't interrupt, the men will be ready to move shortly. You indicate as much to the umpire. He holds up a white flag for his opposition number across the field to see. A wave of blue flags are exchanged. Hey, they're doing semaphore. A very effective, long-range, silent communication method. The exercise will shortly resume. As long as either side has a leader with an order, the turn won't end unless both sides pass their round without spending any orders. Okay, interesting. As long as either side has a leader with an order, the turn won't end unless both sides pass their round without spending any orders. Interesting. So semaphore was a big...
Anyone got a light?
Nope. Semaphore is like... If you need to maintain radio silence with a fleet moving across the open ocean, for example, semaphore is of critical importance. Semaphore and other forms of signaling. Because you can see forever out in the ocean, particularly if you've got recon aircraft around. Alright, end the round repeatedly to end the turn. Each game turn is broken up into alternating rounds. When both sides pass the round without action, the turn will end. This will be covered in detail later. The shortcut to end a round is the space bar. Alright. Go ahead and do that. Alright, so that was the enemy's turn. We got a Vichy French flag over here. And a Vichy French something. What are you? Can I tell what you are? Doesn't look like it. Oh. Oh. Wonder what this is. Okay, that's got to be sight lines. Curious. This unit can't see jack. You're ready? The men are ready. The enemy is likely ready. The enemy had a round to activate units, but did nothing with it. Options are interesting. The enemy did nothing in response. Maybe a surprise on your side. Wait for the umpire to give the go-ahead. Gonna do the first one. Wonder what the clipboard wants to happen next, Sergeant Bennett says quietly. As if on cue, the field umpire clears his throat. All right, Lieutenant, the enemy squad is in that house down there, he says, and ignores Bennett as he points. You can hear the clockwork tick of his watch, faint but steady. Deploy your men and take them under fire, and remember this exercise is timed. Squad versus squad, even numbers. This will be a tough one. We shouldn't refight the last war. I'm not sure what that last one means. I'm very insistent that all commanders who have an umpire take him absolutely into their confidence. He is not a stool pigeon or a hostile spy. If he knows what you're trying to do, he can be useful at that and be at the point of combat. If he does not know what is going to happen, he is simply unnecessary baggage. Interesting. That's Martin Blumenson's patent papers. Squad versus squad, even numbers? Indeed, that should concern you, the field umpire remarks. We do not want to refight the last war. Got some gents in gas masks, some of them ones here. Movement in the trees. A dozen men and more in olive drab, working their way closer. These are your men, sweaty and dusted from the obstacle course. And at the back is Sergeant Grant, urging the stragglers along. They look tired. Maybe we should wait. Favor the men. No rest for the wicked. Not in this army. Favor the mission. I'm going to favor the men. Sure, Lieutenant, Sergeant Bennett says. They'll always act dog-tired after a little sweat. Looking fresh and sweet is as bad as volunteering for anything. But give them a good reason to move, and Grant will get them in gear. I train them myself. The platoon is together again, if not precisely formed up in the best position. While you ponder that fact, the umpire's watch continues to tick. Let's bolster their spirits, Sergeant Bennett says. That always boosts morale, but it doesn't last for long. But maybe it will be just long enough for what comes next. Reachable squares with bolster, reachable squares without bolster. Okay.
Remember Sergeant Bennett's wise comment that morale is the backbone of your company's performance? Well, what do you think the role of leadership is then? Of course, it's to manage that morale. Let's look at your tools. One of them is bolster. So here we have a good order unit. And if we were to attack, it'd be 50-50 on attack. It moves 3 squares. It has 70% morale check. But let's bolster it. A lot more movement. Hey, it's going to pass that morale check. And look at the firefight. Bolster enhances an already good unit so it is significantly more effective, especially for firefights. The experience and the trust of the leader comes to bear. Don't make the mistake, however, of thinking of bolster as sort of a poor man's rally, rally for one action. I've moved the leader down to this shaken squad, half morale, and I'm thinking, well, it's pretty poor for a firefight right now. Maybe I'll bolster it and it'll be fine. Well, there's some improvement. If you studied this, you'd see the suppressed predictions are a little bit better, but you're still going to lose initiative. It's not a rally. If you want a unit with shaken or below morale to improve, rally. Rally, by contrast, fully restores morale for the long term. Of course, it does take a turn to do, so you'll have to pick the time and place for when you rally, for when you bolster, or for when you orchestrate your platoon and company to be effective all at once, rather than dribble in an attack on the enemy.
A bolster order will provide a boost to the morale of a unit until that unit moves, shoots, or does anything else that has the unit expend an order. Unlike rally, this does not remove suppression, but a bolster can boost a unit's maximum morale beyond its maximum. Bolster greatly increases initiative in a firefight and the chance to initiate an assault. Okay. Bolster the leader's squad. Bolster improves the morale of units for their next order. They'll move further, shoot better, and fight harder. Bolstering consumes 1 leader order. Left-click and select all units in the hex. Left-click on the bolster button. So here's a question. Can I bolster... Okay, the leader needs to be with the unit in order to bolster them. Alright. So... let me see. What else we got here? We got a squad that's not doing super hot. And we got a squad that's heads down. What does that mean? Oh, it means they're gonna have a little bit of a slow time. Alright, so the enemy's up in this house. I'm not sure if... Okay, let me see what we got here. So this is... I'm not sure if bolstering is the right call because they've got to move up before they engage. So I think maybe... If I got 4 orders. If I move up, bolster, and then shoot, that's going to be 2. So realistically, that means I can pull another squad forward to get some support. My goal is to win the exercise before turn 3. I don't think I'm going to accomplish that unless I go forward right now and do it. But let me make sure. Further shoot better and fight harder. Let me see if I can figure out if I'm doing it right. So first, bolster. We bolster the unit. All right. Ready, Sergeant Bennett says. Where to, LT? Should we have Grant march down or go ahead? Time to make a decision. There are a lot of things you might want to order, but there is never enough time for the men to carry those out. Nonetheless, you prepare to do what you can. All right, here we go. So, let's go ahead and select this other squad. This just means hidden. Can I get rid of head down? Change facing. No order cost for infantry and in-motion vehicles. Halted vehicles must expend 1 order to change facing. Hold fire. Recon by fire and weapon range. May reveal hidden enemies if used to fire on seemingly empty hexes. Enemy XP reduces chance. Interesting. Alright, so we got a lot going on here. Oh, the head down is not... That's just... They're low on morale, so they can't move as far. And these guys are probably restricted as well. Okay. So if I bring this unit up to support... I'm not going to be able to get them close enough to shoot this turn. Might still be worth it to bring them up, though. On the other hand, can I get this unit close enough? No, because they only have 1 order. I'm not going to leave them out in the open. So we'll move this unit forward. Enemy held objective is there. Let me see. If I go through here, I'm going through open terrain. But this terrain doesn't offer any cover, so I think that's the right call. Let's see if we can get eyes up there. There they are, Sergeant Bennett says, as your men pass the word that they've sighted movement in the house. But those damn walls give them better cover than anything we've got. Nearby, the umpire with the clipboard makes a note, a lengthy one. Okay, let's prepare to open fire. Give the men some direction and the umps will take note, Sergeant Bennett says, as your men prepare to place the revealed enemy in their crosshairs. Every little bit helps us to build up our fire against the enemy before they do the same to us. Left-click to select the unit you want to have fire, then right-click the enemy. This will consume 1 squad order. Alright, so let's move up. We want to attack with this squad. I'm going to move both these units because I want to be physically with the squad. I've actually got an order left. And this squad is bolstered. Right? No, I can't do that because they're already bolstered. This should be because they're already bolstered. Alright, so... And does shooting take its own action? Ooh, this looks good. I don't think so. So if I move this squad up... I'm going to find out. I'm going to find out if shooting takes its own action. Shoot here if you're out of orders, end the round until the turn ends. They're flanked. They're a cavalry squad. Our chances of winning are very good. So let's do it. I know our squad just put. I don't know if the Empire was pushing us forward, but our squad just opened fire without a plan, Sergeant Bennett says. I'll bet we could get as good if the Jerrys if we have time to. Unsupervised and poorly invigorated fire likely resulted in little suppression. The field umpire remarks and writes something sharply in the margin of his clipboard sheet. Whistles blow. The exercise halts as the umpires get to work figuring out the damage done to the enemy. Sergeant Bennett waits quietly beside me. Halt the exercise, the field umpire barks formally and then signs the bottom of the page with a flourish. Lieutenant, you pushed ahead and didn't form up your platoon prior to the attack. This would have resulted in some of your men getting killed and additional time wasted while you regrouped for a proper assault against a now prepared enemy. Our options are, but speed was of the essence. It would have taken too long to prepare the platoon. Or nod. I'm going to nod. By moving too early, you could maneuver your men into an unwinnable predicament. That possibility is worrisome. What are my marks today? Further discuss the issue of victory or defeat. We did all this, and for what? Prestige -1, loyalty +2. Prestige is the measure of your influence as superior officers. Loyalty is the measure of influence of your men. Or C to the men, trust +10. Trust is how much the men reassured by your presence on the battlefield. I'm going to C to the men. I don't need to worry about this. The umpire is in charge here and of higher rank. There's no point in arguing or protesting, especially not when the platoon needs to be organized. Sergeant Bennett falls in as you head back to your platoon. No matter what you choose, the ump is going to find fault, Sergeant Bennett says. Like being married, but without the fun parts. Hell, I bet getting something wrong was the point of the lesson. Moving just one squad ahead of the others was a bold choice, too. Can't deny that. And if it had been an ambush, you'd be saving lives. So there was no good answer? Thought I'd done everything right. Nod. Sounds true. Say nothing. No good answer? You learn more from failure than success, Lieutenant, Sergeant Bennett says. But you only had to learn this lesson once, not teach it 100 times. What exactly am I supposed to learn? Actual war will be a hell of a thing. Nod. What am I supposed to learn? How to lead, Sergeant Bennett replies. Not just when things are going well, either. And maybe that's why there was no good answer there, because there might not have been one over there. No good answer here, because there might not be one over there. It's a lot to take in. You'll have to keep your eyes and ears open. Access to Wikipedia down here. Interesting. Alright, so. Mission was a draw. I earned 7 prestige and 7 loyalty. No one out of action. Exit before story continues or continue with story. Both these are going to save the game. With that having said, this is quite a long episode, actually. So we'll call it here. I've had fun. I hope you all have had fun. And I'll see you on the other side.